Little Red Riding Hood. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a darling little country girl, the prettiest creature who was ever seen. Her mother was extremely fond of her. Her grandmother, who doted on her still more, had made for her a small red riding hood, which did become the girl so very well that she was called Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother, having made some custards, said, "Go see how your grandmother is doing, because I hear she has been very ill. Take her a custard and this pot of butter." Immediately Little Red Riding Hood set out to go to her grandmother's house, which was not far, though in another village. Going through the woods, she met a wolf, who had a mind to eat her, but dared not, for nearby in the forest lived a woodsman. He asked where she was going. The poor child, who did not know that it was dangerous to stay and hear a wolf talk, said to him, "I go to see my grandmother and bring her a custard and some butter from my mother." "Does she live far off?" asked the hungry wolf. "Oh no," replied Little Red Riding Hood. "It's just beyond the mill that you see there, at the first house you come to in the village." "Well," said the wolf, "then I'll go see her too. I'll go this way, why don't you go that way? Then we shall see which one will be there soonest." The wolf ran off, taking the nearest way. The little girl went by the farther route, gathering nuts and chasing butterflies and making nosegays with the flowers she found. The wolf soon got to the old woman's house and knocked upon the door. Tap, tap. "Who's there?" "Your granddaughter, Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf, "who's brought for you a custard and a small pot of butter from my mother." The good grandmother, who was still in bed because she felt ill, cried out, "Do come in." The wolf came through the door and fell upon her and ate her up, for it had been 3 days since he'd last eaten. He then shut the door and went into the grandma's bed to wait for the arrival of the girl, who came and knocked upon the door. Tap, tap. "Who's there?" Little Red Riding Hood, hearing that voice, was scared at first, but thinking that her grandma, who had a cold, was hoarse, replied, "'Tis I, your granddaughter, Little Red Riding Hood, who's brought for you a custard and some butter." The wolf softened his voice as best he could and cried out, "Do come in." And so she entered. The wolf, hiding himself under the bedclothes, said to her, "Put the custard and the butter upon the stool and come lie down by me." Little Red Riding Hood went to the bed and said, "Grandmother, what great arms you have." "The better," said the wolf, "to hug thee, dear." She said, "Grandmother, what great ears you have." "The better," said the wolf, "to hear thee, dear." She said, "Grandmother, what great eyes you have." "The better," said the wolf, "to see thee, dear." She said, "Grandmother, what great teeth you have." "The better," said the wolf, "to eat thee, dear." And so, saying these words, the wicked wolf fell upon the girl and ate her up. The end.